Good Thursday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day. Here to give you some update information with the weather. The first thing we will speak on is Hurricane Melissa. We're expecting impacts over the next 24 to 48 hours in places like Bermuda and Newfoundland. So we'll go over some information that we have on that. After that, we'll speak on the weather across the entire lower 48 for today. And then speaking of the lower 48, we'll just kind of get into the pattern we're expecting as we move over the next 7 to 10 days, really as we get into the early portion of November. Are we seeing any kind of significant storm systems, any sort of big cool downs, early season snow, big warm ups? We'll go over all of that for the back half of the video, and then we'll round it off with a Bible devotion if you want to join us for that. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. So let's get going this morning. So this is Hurricane Melissa, beginning to take on more of that sloppier look, but still a powerful hurricane. And in fact, as of right now, it's actually forecast to intensify a little bit before ultimately it weakens as it moves into the North Atlantic and really truly begins to lose the tropical characteristics that it still has right now, but still a powerful Category 2 hurricane, still has some deep convection wrapping around the center. Hope you guys, and obviously Jamaica, we're starting to really see the true devastation of Western Jamaica, but hope you guys in Eastern Cuba are holding up well, in the Bahamas from overnight. If you're tuning in from that area, definitely let me know. Obviously it's not a priority, but if you are tuning in from that area, let me know what you're seeing or hearing about if you got family down there. But Bermuda is next. It's right here. It's probably going to make a pass to the west overnight tonight, bring some nasty tropical storm force, brief hurricane force conditions. But you guys are built like a tank. I know you guys can handle this. You saw the impacts from Imelda earlier this hurricane season, just a short several weeks ago or so. I can't even remember. That was definitely a few weeks ago at least. But anyways, sometimes time gets away from me. But Bermuda is next, so prepare for this. You guys actually have hurricane warnings, but this is Melissa right now. Of course, doesn't have that cleared out eye anymore, and will begin to slowly lose its tropical characteristics over the next day or two as it enters those cooler waters and continues to get picked up by a trough over the eastern U.S. So let's move past this. Latest from the National Hurricane Center from the 5 a.m. update. So as a 968 millibar low pressure. It's a 105 mile per hour Category 2 hurricane, forecast to strengthen actually to a higher end Cat 2. I don't think it'll make it back to major status, but what's interesting is this thing actually weakened into a 90 mile per hour hurricane yesterday, and then actually re-intensified overnight into over a 100 mile per hour hurricane once it left the Bahama Islands. So it's just been an interesting storm for sure. But by the time we get into 2 a.m. tonight, and probably sometime around midnight, it'll be making its closest pass to the west of Bermuda. And you guys do have hurricane warnings now. You upgraded from the watch to the warning. And then by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, man, this thing's going to be booking it. Over the next 36 hours, it'll still be a Category 1 hurricane. And now you guys in the Avalon Peninsula, including St. John's, are firmly in this cone. But, you certainly could see impacts further west into Newfoundland. But forecast around 2 a.m. to be a post-tropical cyclone Saturday, 2 a.m. As it makes its closest pass to the east of Newfoundland. So this could certainly make an actual landfall, whatever's left over of this center of circulation. So we'll go over some model data with that. But after that, we finally say goodbye to this storm system and gets just way up here in the cold waters of the North Atlantic. We can finally just sound off Melissa. But just going over some model data. This is the HMON model. I'm sorry, the HWRF model. We'll go over the HMON here in a second. And as the system moves on through, there's Bermuda right here. It's definitely making a pass to the west, you guys. And this is around 9-10 o'clock this evening. The conditions will quickly go downhill. But I also think as we are waking up tomorrow morning, conditions will rapidly improve also. I mean, this thing's going to be blitzing past your area to the west. So just go on and get ready. Tonight's going to get rough in Bermuda, but it's not going to last super long. And normally tropical systems don't last a super long time in Bermuda, as they usually get picked up by some sort of upper influence in the upper levels of the atmosphere. fear. But as we continue to move into Friday afternoon, and well, tomorrow afternoon, you can say, tomorrow evening, and then we get into the overnight hours, it begins to make its closest pass to southeast Newfoundland. The Avalon Peninsula is a powerful post-tropical cyclone. So you guys will certainly get rain. And some of this is from some energy that's over eastern Canada also, sort of a combining setup, but no superstorm or anything like that expected. But still a 959, very powerful post-tropical system as this thing really gets wrapped up with dry air. But certainly get some gusty winds, strong gusty winds in Newfoundland, Avalon Peninsula. Certainly a dicey night of weather tomorrow night into probably Saturday morning in areas of southeast Newfoundland. So going to get ready for that. But I do want to show you a scenario with the HMON model. And of course, we're not going to leave Bermuda hanging here, as this actually makes a further away close approach to you guys. That'll make sense. It's further west on this run, which might be a little bit of in a way of less impacts than Bermuda, but Bermuda's right here on the side of your screen here, still bringing some dicey conditions, and this is sped up a little bit in time. So I mean, this is like 9, 10, 11 o'clock this evening, and do you guys get hit by a nasty kind of whatever's left over of kind of the most intense part of this hurricane, like the eye wall? It's hard to call this the eye wall. I don't think it's going to have much of that left, but what I'm trying to say are you guys going to get kind of hit with whatever's left or intact of sort of the inner portion of this hurricane? And that'll mean a lot. So if this thing kind of is tucked in a little bit more over here, you guys will probably get higher wind gusts. But regardless, this moves past fast. And this actually moves right into the Avalon Peninsula late tomorrow night into Saturday morning. So that would bring more significant impacts wind and rain wise across the area. It'll race across the peninsula here and then get out into the North Atlantic. So, this is chances to see hurricane force wind gusts with the leftovers of Melissa. And you're only at a 5 to 10% chance in Bermuda, but I do think some wind gusts could reach 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. And then there is, anywhere from a 10 to a 20% chance in areas of the Avalon Peninsula. And just to go over kind of what I would say is more of a worst case scenario for especially Newfoundland. First off, we will show the HMON, and this is wind speeds and miles per hour. So you're getting some 50, 60, 70 mile per hour winds probably in areas of Bermuda later this evening into the overnight hours. And, this area right here, I mean, this is, like I said, 60, 70 mile per hour winds. And I don't think this is going to be all out sustained, but there could be a period of very strong winds later tonight in Bermuda for sure. So go on and get ready for that. But like we just showed you, the HMON model really takes this right into southeast Newfoundland. So, we switch this to kilometers per hour, which I know this is how you guys measure these winds here. And this would bring a period of 50 to 80 kilometer per hour winds into southeast Newfoundland, the Avalon Peninsula here. And that would certainly knock some things around, and it would just be one of these powerful late season storms, probably equivalent to a nor'easter. So just get ready. It'll move in. It's going to kind of be the same, except 24 hours later. Bermuda, you're going to get hit by this tonight. And then tomorrow night, you guys will get hit by this and, southeast Newfoundland. So it'll be just kind of hits that night. By morning, who knows? You're probably getting peaks of sunshine, or things will at least calm down. So, this is another scenario off the Euro, and this is peak wind gust based off the Euro, has a 95 kilometer per hour wind gust in the far southeast tip of the Avalon Peninsula. So, I mean, that's equivalent to some tropical storm force wind gusts. So just be ready for that, guys. But speaking on today's weather, moving past Melissa, we'll have an even shorter update more than likely on Melissa tomorrow as we just fully starting to move past it. But got a big washout ongoing across the mid-Atlantic, southern areas of the Northeast. This is a chilly rain, maybe some snowflakes mixing in the higher elevations of like the Adirondacks. Let me know what you're seeing. We got some energy swinging down into the Dakotas, some light moisture, some northwest flow wraparound. But, I'm going to be interested as we go over the next couple hours. If anybody in like the southwest North Carolina mountains, like, the Smokies, these areas are getting a dusting of snow from a little bit of northwest flow up in the higher elevations of the Smokies in North Carolina and Tennessee. I'm talking about like 5,000 to 6,000 feet up and higher. So we'll see. But watches, warnings, and advisories. We got freeze warnings ongoing across these purple areas, and then dense fog advisories across the upper Midwest. We got some red flag warnings. It's pretty dry down here and still warm down here in southern areas of Texas. We do have wind advisories across New Jersey with the storm system moving through. And speaking of the storm system, there is a marginal risk in place for really what's going on right now through about early afternoon in eastern North Carolina. That's more so for right now, in areas in the mid-Atlantic. So just be aware, this entire dark green area has a 2% risk of a tornado. And I would say, like I said, this is probably between now and about early afternoon, but there is a risk of thunderstorms in this entire light green area, and the risk of flash flooding, just a marginal risk. Really, this rain is just beneficial, honestly. But speaking on what could happen today, southeast could get some thunderstorms this morning. In southeast Virginia, east, like extreme northeast North Carolina. You're waking up to a really warm morning for late October standards. A pretty wild temperature gradient across the Carolinas right now. But you see some wraparound moisture coming down all the way to the North Carolina, Tennessee mountains. Who knows? Higher up, like I said, a little bit of a wintry mix. Let me know if you see that. But could see some of this moisture mixing in later tonight in West Virginia with a little bit of snow. Outside of that, not a whole lot to talk about. But the Northeast, there certainly is. Big chunk of moisture with a kind of trap low pressure spinning around across the Northeast. Much needed rain, but we're going to get a washout developing later this afternoon in areas like New York City, Long Island. Maybe even a strong thunderstorm could be possible with this. The further north, though, you begin to lose some of the thermodynamics. But, I mean, this is this evening. Strong. Some strong gusty winds are possible with some of these stronger rain bands and some areas of heavy rain. So a little bit of a risk of flooding. Just be aware of this. But most of this is much needed. Then as some cold air wraps back around, some of this moisture tomorrow could begin to mix with a little bit of snow. So we'll see if that happens. Tokyo Plateau, the Adirondacks, things like that. But that's getting into tomorrow's weather. But rainfall, well, this is just precipitation in general between now and 8 p.m. Saturday. Multiple inches of precipitation, mainly rain. 99% of this is rain between now and that time period. So much needed rain for sure, just a washout. Now we get into the south central U.S., not a whole lot to talk about. Just a nice day, so enjoy it. And then the north central U.S., kind of the same deal. We're going to continue to get some pesky rain across Ohio, even making it all the way back into Detroit, southern Ontario. Some chilly rain will be wrapping through, and then some cool air funnels down. You're starting to see more blue on your screen, so some snow showers are possible tomorrow morning across the Dakotas, maybe even Minnesota. And some of this will mix with more so rain, but we'll see what happens with that. Then the western U.S., it's quiet as a ridge begins to build in place. I mean, nothing to really speak on. Storm system does begin to enter the picture tomorrow morning across the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures, what you're looking like. Northeast, chilly day. In fact, some areas temperatures will be dropping. And they'll have a surge of warmth, though, and just moist air also through, the Delmarva and New Jersey, southeast PA. It's going to probably get into the 60s. But cool air is to follow behind this. Just kind of weird temperature fluctuations as far as high temperatures today. And that's normally the case when you have cut-off lows, cut-off areas of energy that bring kind of their own cold air, even to the surface, but mainly aloft. But definitely warm across the southwest, kind of a late extension of summer down here, but a little bit cooler. But this is definitely still a tick above average for sure across the northern Rockies. But, as far as our pattern upcoming, we're not going to get super detailed on this, but the blue areas you're seeing, these are storm systems, and behind each blue area you see, it kind of yanks down cooler air. Now, kind of that salmon kind of orange color you're seeing, like over here across west, that's a ridge, and you normally just get above average temperatures with that. But, you're going to see areas of blue, blobs of blue, as we're getting into this weekend, kind of move into the eastern U.S. And then another area, deep trough, really only affects the northeast. We got some cutoff energy down here in the Gulf. We'll watch for that. I don't think we're going to get anything tropical out of that, but some trapped energy. This could kind of keep cooler temperatures lingering around and some unsettled weather for the northeast, but a big kind of lower 48 ridge really flexes. Now, I still think we could get some return flow. So even though you're seeing this kind of pink color over the eastern U.S., some return flow from the cold air getting pulled down at this edge of the trough here could actually at the surface be cooler than what this picture, what you think this picture reflects, I should add. And we'll get more into that as we get deeper into winter. Here comes another trough digging down, so we're getting about a week out. And then we take this all the way out to about November 10th. So first one third of November, could have another trough that digs down across the eastern U.S. And this is just the operational Euro. So, but definitely as we get past day 7, things can get everywhere. But as far as what this looks like at the surface, as far as precipitation, I do think we can get some snow as we're getting into tomorrow. We could actually, in the Adirondacks, get some heavy, wet snow for your Halloween. So pretty crazy. Nothing crazy unusual, but definitely wild when you get a snowy last day of October. And then as we move forward, there is a signal for a storm system, depending on what some cutoff energy does down here. And the GFS and the Euro sort of disagree with one another. They're a little bit everywhere on this, but there's some energy trying to connect down here. So there's a potential, and this is crazy because we're inside 100 hours, for a storm system down here in the southeast. Now, I'm not talking about snow, guys, but just kind of a stronger low pressure could get going. You see some energy down here with some cutoff energy. But we'll just kind of watch it. But then here comes a stronger storm system about 1 week from today with that trough that swings down across the northeast. And, we'll have to watch the evolution of that, how much cold air is associated with it. And it just looks like we have a lot of sort of northern stream energy diving down. And, you do see kind of a fantasy snowstorm across the interior New England area as we get closer to the 10th. But that's the 10th of November. It's pretty far out away from us. But, we look at the GFS. It kind of shows more of a scenario for a storm system as we're getting into Monday. But even this is kind of backed off. It was showing more of a powerful scenario. We just have to watch for some energy to connect here. But I would watch Sunday into Monday. That's a tough forecast couple days for local meteorologists and people like me. And then this kind of moves through. We get 1 week from today, some energy flying to the north. And if you're wondering why I'm not showing out west, there's really nothing going on out west because there's a tall spiking ridge. But as we're getting about 10 days out, maybe a deep trough digs down. And, just in general, guys, I will watch this first storm system tomorrow. Could bring some snow across the Adirondacks. And, the Euro is a little bit more aggressive with this, and for whatever reason, it's not wanting to show me the Euro. Having just some, it's just having a little bit of troubles with Weather Bell this morning, so that's okay. But there could be a touch of snow in the Adirondacks and some of the higher elevations of Vermont and New Hampshire sometime, really tomorrow night and a Saturday morning, so we'll watch for that. But in general, we will watch kind of over the next 10 days, just shots of cool air. I think to start off the first few days of November, it's just going to be below average. Don't focus on how below average it is. Just the bluish green areas are below average temperatures compared to your average temperatures for this time of the year. So we get into November, we get into the 4th, we get into the 5th. And then as we get closer to the 6th and 7th, there is a signal for maybe a warm up. But there's also signals for cool downs in between these warm ups. So you get cool downs, warm ups, cool downs, which pretty much signifies the changing of the seasons, right? So here comes another big cool down at day 10, 11, 12, but we'll have to watch. And one thing I did want to show you guys, I don't know what's going on with, let's see if I can flip it to this. Every video is not going to be crisp, unfortunately, guys. And we're just having some issues with Weather Bell this morning. And who knows, it might be my internet. Let's see if Tropical Tidbits is working. Yeah, Tropical Tidbits is working, so I think it's a Weather Bell thing. So anyways, I was going to show you the Euro ensemble for snowfall, but it's just not cooperating for me, so I apologize, guys. But let's do a Bible devotion and we'll get off with our day here. This morning we are in Psalms chapter 73. I always forget how long Psalms is. Psalms chapter 73, verse 26. And that says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart." And I do want to note, it's more scripture that acknowledges struggle. And I think that's huge just because, scripture doesn't tell you, the Bible doesn't tell you, God doesn't tell us that we're not going to struggle. We're going to struggle in this world. There's a world full of sin. And I think that we're called to build off that struggle. But importantly, we're definitely called to go to God and lean on him as our ultimate strength during the struggle. And that goes to this: God is the foundation that will support you at all times. No other earthly things will provide eternal strength like God. The blows of life are coming, so make sure you have that strong and eternal foundation.
Yeah.
Bad things are going to happen, guys. Struggles are going to happen. You're not going to get the answer from earthly things. I mean, you will probably temporarily, but there's nothing eternal about that. The eternal thing is Christ. So I'll leave it at that. We'll have another Bible devotion tomorrow. I need to get back on track with doing it 3 to 4 times a week. I know I haven't done one since Monday, but I know there's a lot of people struggling out there. I mean, there's a lot of struggling going on in Jamaica right now, in the Caribbean. And, from what I've read in the comments, there's a strong faith foundation down there. So, one thing that I also do is when I'm wanting to really just get down and how I'm feeling. I had a rough day yesterday. I just was in a bad mood for no reason, no reason at all. But then I thought about what was going on in Jamaica, and I was like, perspective, right? And I know we all, it happens to all of us, even the best of us. But, that's one thing I do when I'm struggling is I lean on, obviously the priority number one is leaning on God during that struggle as my true foundation. But also, and I think God sometimes puts this in our thoughts for a reason. I also think about so many other bad things people are going through that some people out there are just losing kids to sickness. Some people out there have lost everything, like in Jamaica. So, it adds perspective to how I feel in my struggle. So I know that kind of gets away from scripture there, but anyways, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all and have a wonderful day.